What is going on, everyone? Today, I'm finally rested and recovered from the only May the 4th PQ in Star Wars Unlimited, where I ended up taking it down with Raid Vault. There was 114 players in Newington, Connecticut. 3 people played Ray. There was 1 Tarkentown. My buddy Matt Ferrando took Ray Blue 30, and then I played Ray Data Vault. Yeah, it was really good. I went undefeated. I decided to play Ray. I was inspired just by seeing the fact that Yosera, Josh Freeman Birch, on Saturday in Lille went. I don't even know what he did. What was it? 9 rounds. He was like 7, 8-1, I think. And you know, the rumor was he was playing Ray Data Vault. So I said, huh, okay, that's an interesting meta call. I played a Ray Data Vault actually day 2 in Denver in like the premier big side event that took me to game 3 with Anakin Colossus. So I was already like interested in the deck. That guy's version was definitely different than this, but I was like, that was cool. I was kind of keeping it in the back of my mind. And then seeing Josh do that, I was like, okay, how the hell did he build this deck? So knowing Josh, I knew it was not going to be 60 cards. It was probably going to be like 65. So I joined his Discord, hopped in and said, hey, how many cards are you playing? And he said 62, smiley face. I said, okay. I was never going to run 62 cards, but it gave me just an idea of like, okay, 62 cards, Ray Data Vault, what is going to be good into this meta? And having played Anakin at Denver and Richmond and top board of PQ with it, I just don't think that style of mid-range is good right now, where you're playing a lot of like 4 drops and stuff. I feel like you do need to go wide in this meta if you're not going to be like hyper aggro or hyper control. So that led me to start brewing on this Raid Vault list, which obviously in the end ended up being pretty close to what Josh played. We had a pretty different side deck. Because again, his list wasn't available. I'd only seen his day 1 results because then I had to wake up super early before the day 2 rounds were finished, hop in the car, get to Newington, and then by the time we started at 11 a.m., I don't even think the deck lists were posted yet. So I had no access to his list. I just know he was running 62 cards. So I built my version, which is this. So I played 2 Alliance Dispatcher and 2 Clone Deserter as my kind of standalone 1-drops. I sided the 3rd Clone Deserter because I felt like this card is nuts into Sabine, but not that great into like Kira and stuff. And going into Connecticut, knowing that probably a lot of KTOD people were going to be there, I know that they're all really high on Kira. I opted not to play the full 3, even though this card is really, really good against aggro. Specifically Sabine, not as great into Quinlan if they're running 1-drops, but that was my reasoning for only running 2. I definitely probably want to play the 3rd, but that Dispatcher was just pretty good overall. The glare on this is interesting. Anyway, so those were the standalone 1-drops. And then we played the droid package, 3R2, 3 C3PO, pretty standard and obvious in Ray. You buff them up, they find the pieces you want and draw your cards. You're kind of always calling 3 because you are running a lot of 3-drops, but sometimes you can call other numbers if you're looking for something specific and hope for the best. But that's C3PO and R2D2. Then the other early game play is Mon Mothma. We are running a ton of rebels. Obviously, all the droids are rebels, and the dispatchers are rebels. The blue leaders are rebels. That you're running the fleet lieutenant. You find Luke in home 1s early, and then you just kind of hold them in your hand. It's kind of nice to find a Luke in home 1 with this on turn 1 because you've already resourced, and depending on the matchup, you can then hold the higher drops after that because you're probably going to have other plays after turn 1. So Mothma was incredible all day. I definitely would not play less than 3. Then 3 drops, we have 3 Sundaris, Peacekeepers, 3 Techs, 3 Village People, 3 Fleet Lieutenant, 3 Blue Leader, 2 Yoda, and 2 Akbar. So a lot of 3-cost units. Everything except the Fleet Lieutenant and the Blue Leader can be buffed by Ray, so you're making them really enormous slowly, which is fine. You're a grindy deck anyway, so they don't need to be these crazy impressive stat lines. Akbar was really good. It's just never a card I really want to play from my hand. I kind of always want it off a U-Wing or off of Tech at a Smuggle. Even though it's for 5, if I'm doing that, I'm normally blowing up something really important. I think I did that a couple times on stream. So I think 3 is almost like too many. It's not really a card I ever want to just dry play. So I don't think I'd run 3, but it was very good. Yoda was fine. It's kind of your like, I don't really want them to know glory this target, but it's still Yoda, so it's really good into like Super Laser Blast and stuff. So you still want it, and it can be buffed once, and then it's a 3/5 with Restore 2. Crazy. Sundari, incredible all day. You can buff it twice to a 3/7 with Raid 2, Restore 2, so then it's a 5/7. Tech is Tech. Really makes the deck sing. Blue Leader, best, just absolutely insane all day. Obviously, just wiping whatever you want. I mean, truly. And then, or just creating this 5/5 on the ground they've got to deal with. Yeah, those are the 3 drops. Only 3 4-drops, 3 Bright Hope. I can see a world where you only need 2 of this, but again, knowing the meta I was going into, I did expect a lot of Han, so I wanted to make sure I had something to slow them down. But I could see you playing 2 of this for sure. Really just depends on what you're expecting. But it was good all day. I don't think I ever sided it out. It's good against Kira, because they don't really want to see this. It buys a turn against Avenger if you need it. Just annoying for them to deal with in space, because they can't. It takes them forever to get through with Inferno 4 and Gunship. It just sits there and it draws you a card basically, because you're going to bounce more than likely on Mothma or R2D2 or something cheap. So that was that. And then we have our top end, 3 home 1, 3 Luke. Self-explanatory, but home 1 right now is absolutely insane. We're in a meta of, like I said, go wide, board wipe and stuff. The Restore 2 is really good. Giving the Restore 1 in a go wide deck is so annoying, because you're getting so much Restore off of all your small stuff. It adds up so fast, and obviously, despite the misplay, is the reason I beat the Thrawn Red 2-0, just giving me so much extra Restore. It is just like your best play after Super Laser Blast, because it gets you the home 1 and then a Mon Mothma or a Village People or something back, so that you're not dead to Avenger and Power of the Dark Side. So it kind of insulates you from that while still getting you the major card advantage, or putting this annoying Sentinel with shield on the ground. It's just incredible right now in this specific meta. It's always been good, but sometimes it's like, oh, it's a little too late. It's not anymore. It's amazing. And then I ran for 6 ramp pieces. It was really good all day. Spark of Hope, the amount of times I kind of baited people into killing Alliance Dispatcher or something, because that card kind of has Sentinel. It kind of can't live. You can generate so much advantage off of it. And then Resply's Resply, really good when it needs to be good. Riskier now into aggression decks thanks to Cham, but top 8 against McClunky Titanic, I double ramped. I think it was like Spark of Hope resupply, and it just game 2 was over after that. So I really like the 6 pieces ramp. It also is nice to reuse Spark of Hope again. It's nice to reuse Tech with, because again that card is really important for the deck and something opponents like to kill immediately, even though there's no more DJ. It's just really strong card. A big sleeper, I think, for people. And then the removal package, 3 Fell, 2 Takedown, 3 Traitorous. I'm going to include the 3 Entrenched as a removal, even though I used it a lot on Ray and stuff. Traitorous is just insane right now, with all the pilot Voltron stuff running around. Yeah, I didn't use it as much as I want, but it was always, I was never mad to draw it in certain matchups. It was like a just in case this can win me the game. I did steal Hollow and Green Falcons. They're maining Confiscate, so I think I only had it for a turn, but still it like did some damage, and obviously then essentially healed me 7, because I didn't have to take it. Entrenched, that's again a good matchup for this, because if they're confiscating this, you can then just entrenched their big space unit and then ignore it. Takedown, really good. I sided in the third takedown quite a bit, so there's maybe merit for running 3. Again, I was expecting a lot more big stuff at this event, so I was more scared of Kira and big Han stuff if they weren't able to get Chewie on it, and proved to be right. 3 fell, feels like a staple. Takedown was really good, but I can see maybe going 2 traitorous and a 3rd takedown. And then the last card in the deck is everyone's favorite, Ewing Reinforcement. Yeah, it's your classic like set 1 Ewing. It feels like you're not casinoing for Cad Bane. Sometimes you'll grab a Luke, but a lot of times you're dropping 3 units, or Bright Hope Village Protector, or I did a lot of Bright Hope Sundari Peacekeeper, and then buff the Peacekeeper because I typically had more resources later. Obviously, I had more resources later in the game. Depending on when I draw this in my 60 card deck, but a lot of times, yeah, it was like I would do like Village People R2, C3PO, guarantee a draw, have this annoying Sentinel, it can start buffing my units. This again is really good after Super Laser Blast, which is why I was able to beat all the Kiras I played. Because they Super Laser Blast, you just refill the board with 3 things. Again, now you're insulated from the Avenger, from the power of the dark side. You have a unit you don't really care about in R2 that can eat those things while you look for more removal. So, yeah, that's that. And then my side deck was 2 Ravel's Fall, 1 Takedown, 3 Regional Governor, Restock, 2 Choose Sides, and the 3rd Clone Deserter. I brought these, or I had these in my side deck, and took them out before I left. I definitely regret that. I think Confiscate is important because I feel like the only way you lose Sabine is through Darksaber. So I think this needs to be in the deck. I don't really think I need Restock. I don't know. I did obviously lose the finals game 1 to Mill, but again, that's game 1. And then game 2, I just sided in 7 cards, or 8 cards even. And that was my opponent's downfall, I think, playing 69 cards, because I main 61. If you look at all my lists that I've bubbled or topped with, I don't think I've ever played 50. I always play 51. So in this deck, I played 61, and that was the 3rd tech, and I put it in as the 3rd tech for luck, and it worked out. So my opponent didn't know that I was running the magic number in games 2 and 3, which was 69 cards. After I was so frustrated losing to Mill, because that's just an annoying way to lose, that game 2 I just put in everything. And then after I won that pretty handily, I took out the cards I don't really need against them, which was a Clone Deserter, and I did take out a Choose Sides, because he was playing kind of a weird version with like a lot of heal. So I didn't really feel like I needed that. I was still scared because it seemed like his version with all the healing was a Mill deck, so I wanted to keep the Restock. And then, yeah, with my 61 plus these 8 cards, it was 69. So I beat him with a 69 card deck in the final game. Ayo. I really liked Choose Sides. I was debating like Walkers or something, but this caught a lot of people off guard. There's obviously 1 cheaper, and I have a lot of shit that I can just give them, that like Mothma or R2D2 after I attack with it, and get their big space unit. It's really good. Like I said, I'd probably want to fit in the Confiscates. I would probably drop the Restock. This would probably move into the main deck. Now I have 2 slots open. The Governor is in there for control, and it's good. You can protect yourself from Super Laser Blast. I turn 1, call resupply, all that kind of stuff. But it's really good against Han. Han, I just call Falcon, and then they kind of lose. Now they need Hauler or an L3 as a blue leader, which are just way less scary. Hauler deals a lot of damage, but it's not going to damage me on the first turn. And then it's like if I kill it because they don't have Chewbacca, I can, it's just really scary for them. So calling Falcon is really insane, especially against Han yellow. You're blanking 8 cards, and 6 of them are their ideal turn 1 plays. Ravels Fall, which is good. So yeah, I would definitely want the Confiscates for sure. And I can see like a room for like a salvage or something. There was a lot of times where I wish I had salvage to like get back the home 1 against control. or get back Blue Leader against Sabine, to reuse that as a 5/4 ambush, or that still can ambush like uh, anything else in space outside of red 5 after that. So I can see argument for like a salvage or two, but I think if anything, like I'd cut one of these, choose sides maybe. I still like it at 1. It's just so unexpected and game winning that maybe these are like my 9, and then this other one might be at 1 salvage or something. But yeah, I kind of really enjoyed the side deck I came up with. I just wish I had confiscate. So that was the entire list that I ran. Round 1. For those interested in like the breakdown, will just leave this here as something fun to look at, I guess. I played against PoECL. It was 2-1 win for me. Game 2 was kind of the classic Voltron space unit thing that I couldn't deal with, because I did have the Traitoress, and then he was able to ECL Poe and pop the Traitoress. Then I played against Han2 Data Vault, which I thought I was going to lose against, and I did lose game 1 and then won the next 2. That matchup can be really, really hard for this deck. So I was a little worried about that, but took it in the end. Round 3 was my first Kira Data Vault, which I won 2-0. Just pretty good stuff there. Round 4, I believe, maybe they're reversed, but I think then round 4 definitely was the streamed game versus New Thrawn Red, which game 1 was a pretty clean win. Game 2, my opponent had a blunder because he kind of tunnel visioned on my base and felt like he had to attack into a Sentinel, and then kind of gave me the game there. I was pretty confident I'd win in 3 games anyway, but I won in 2 thanks to me making him play it out, not scooping. Then round 5, I played Kira Data Vault again. My opponent did end up making top 8 with. He was one of the top 8 Kira Data Vaults. I won 2-0 there as well. Then I matched up into Han1 Green at 5-0, and I was the top 5-0 at that point. I was convinced to intentionally draw, and then if I drew the last 2 rounds, I would top 8 regardless because of my breakers and everything and being undefeated. So that's what I did. I decided to roll the dice. It made me very nervous. I don't like doing that, especially I made this deck. Like I said, I was inspired by the Lil Run, so I made this deck Saturday night, played it for like 4 hours, and then was going on this like crazy run. So I was like, I feel like I need to keep playing. I don't know if I can intentionally draw. Like I need the reps with this deck. I'm on a roll, But against my better judgment in a way, I decided to listen to everyone. And, my opponent was also interested in this option because they were also 5-0, obviously. So we drew, and then we drew again. So I had 2 hours off, essentially, and I ended up finishing 5th. It did work out. I played one fun game against the Han1 Green in round 7. Shout out to Titanic, and it was a 1-0 for me pretty quickly. He did him. I think we did him a favor there by drawing. And then the final round, I'm probably in regardless at that point. My opponent was on Quinlan Tarkentown, saw my raid data vault, also didn't really want to play me, and I was also obviously at that point very interested in the draw since I had like kind of committed to drawing out. His other tiebreaker was the person that beat him was like, and people he'd beaten were pretty good, so we felt pretty confident that he would make it into the top cut. We thought he'd be like 7th or 8th, more likely 8th than anything. So he again didn't really want to play into this grindy blue hero control deck, and opted to go for the tie, which I was obviously happy to do as well. We played one fun game afterwards, and his build was crazy, and he smoked me. So I think he did himself a disservice there. But again, we kind of didn't know the version each other were playing. He played like this 1-drop Swarm Quinlan with all the discard. And obviously I'm playing a lot of like 1-drop and stuff. So he was still able to ping me, and other Quinlans can't typically. So he actually might have won that best of 3. and then unfortunately finished ninth. So the math was wrong. Obviously, it can change in a flip. He said it was 0.4% off, so really small. Something really unlucky must have happened with his opponents. The one guy that beat him did end up top 8ing, so like he still had like it was like all the things were there for him, but it just didn't work out in the end, and I felt really awful. He was really cool about it. Either way, like I said, he wasn't confident sitting down, and he also thought his best chance was the draw at that point. Once he saw, once I told him what I was playing. So, yeah, it was kind of just like, the rules are the rules. We can quickly discuss before we play if we want to intentionally draw. There was no real collusion outside of that, and that was what we thought was the best chance for him. I'm pretty sure if I lost to him at 5-1-1, I would have been like the best 5-1-1. So it really was no issue for me. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. And then top 8, it all played out the way it did, and I ended up taking it down. Really, really scarily. You can see top 4 and finals on stream against Sabine ECL and Kira Datavault, which I lost game 1 in both, and then came back to win the next 2. And then top 8, I beat Hanwon Green 2-0. It was Titanic, the intentional draw from round 6. So that played out kind of how we thought it would. I live in New York City, so if you hear that siren, I also live by a hospital. So it's hard to do videos sometimes. But yeah, there's no police activity in my apartment. Anyway, that's the list. I've already seen a lot of buzz from this from Josh. I've seen a lot of people playing it already on line, and I've made a quick Facebook post. So it's out there now into the world, and I think it is very strong. It does require a little bit of a different brain, I think, because it's, again, not your standard like force screen Ray deck. It is a little bit different of a grindy deck, so you do have to go into this with a little bit of a different mindset, I think. But I don't think it's like incredibly difficult to play, but some of the lines are a little weird, especially, and that always kind of is the case when you have these 3 tech options. So just be mindful that if you're struggling, if you want to pick this up, like, you might have to change the way you look at the matchups in the games. Anyway, that's it. So yeah, I am the May the 4th Planetary Qualifier champion, because no one else ran one. There was a bunch on the 3rd on Saturday. So I don't know. I am going to the regional in Minnesota. I don't know if I'm taking this, but it's been fun. It was very crazy and fun yesterday to kind of brew this last minute and do so well. So big shout out to Yosera, Joshua, for the inspiration. Just seeing the leader and the base and asking him how many cards he was running, and then I ran my classic 61. So it was a lot of fun, and shout out to everyone at Tabletop Gaming Center in Newington, Connecticut. They were great. Shout out to McClunky Gaming for running an incredible stream. Tim and Claire are the best in the game when it comes to that stuff, and the nicest humans. And shout out to Sexy Batch Cookies. Get your cookies, baby. Nieves drove Ferrando and Miles and I to Connecticut, and shout out to the 3 of them for hanging out all night and watching me. For the most part, they went out to get food, but they were there, the whole day, even though they didn't have to be. So big shout out to them, and shout out to Team I Love New York, your real ones, Hex and Co. Been a lot of fun kind of stressing over what to do this PQ season. I've been on the fence about going to the Galactics, and think I have to go now. So I will hopefully see some of you in Minnesota at the regional, and then maybe see some of you in July. So thanks for tuning in. I know people in this community like to do like the slideshow video, but I'm old school and really like touching physical cards and looking at physical cards, even though there's a little bit of glare. So apologize for the glare, but hopefully this was helpful, and if you'd like some more insight on anything, let me know, and I'll be happy to answer anything in the comments. Thanks for watching.